So we literally have psychos running things right now, and many other people feel like they're being squeezed into shrinking safety nets, raising costs, proxy warfare artists. I mean, you name it. So when basic needs like food, housing, healthcare become made into these bargaining chips of these cuckolding spree masons design, it's much like our whole humanity is being negotiated away. The trap of dependency of these programs that are supposed to be helping us, they're red taped when it's literally making you feel powerless by their supposed leverage when assistance disappears suddenly after making you a dependent by proxy, and then they're not even following their own rules while blaming you for the failures instead of their own failures and failing you with intent to fail you. So it creates this economic warfare by simple neglect. From the very low wages to the underfunded services that are constantly shifting policy to wear people down. You know, your ordinary life is not being allowed to live, and your ordinary energy is being harvested. So people feel like they have no future over a survival mode that's being instigated, yet still, you know, much like it was for myself being first born into a state of the art of warfare caused by, I don't know, the fuckery of my father and, you know, the threats that were received to my sister at a very young age. Not only threatening in that fashion, but the psychological damage that it presented for my own brothers and other people. It's just to suggest that there's more there than meets the eye. As far as the psychological damages that ensue, to where it's like, you know, if the demons want to persist, well, I understand why there's a heaven and why there's a hell, but many other people might not see it as that. Either way, it takes a psychological toll on a person where it's not just about money, it's about our actual availability to our integrity, our dignity. And when these systems seem to keep you anxious or desperate feeling in a situation where hope feels like an act of rebellion, like you you literally pressed up against the wall, like in a figurative way, all knives out, and these systems are making it like they simply don't want to allow you to get away and escape their control based on if you were to get actual real live representation for the actual crimes that are, you know, into the thousands somewhere against a target, then you're reclaiming agency is somehow creating chaos for them. And just like these people never wanting me to create Heartworks is just the same thing as them never wanting me to be able to continue working at strong facilities or ITI or working for cash money. Anything that threatens their strength in order to have control over my livelihood is just they're unable to allow me to an independent life outside of the chaos that they're ensuing inside of my life. So even through community networks, you know, food co-ops or any kind of mutual aid networks, they're legitimately staffing and staging, I believe, for a very hidden spiritual warfare, proxy warfare, and even hidden guerrilla warfare, where it's meant to place you in a situation where they know the fuck well that you would have been able to pay for things, just leaving you be, but they weren't leaving you be. They wanted you to established inside of their control grid. So without you being able to pay for those things and being up to date, then now they're just coming after everything. They want to steal away your time, energy, resource, life, you know, kill you, like legitimately get away with murder. So, speaking truth about this kind of story in plain language is what these policies and actions have made to create life to be harder for the individual to target. And who gets affected is just the same people that are literally just trying to get out of the targeting and out of the harvest of the controlling of their energy, their time, their resources, their power, their finances, their love life, their relationships, their family life, their everything, just literally everything. And so the version of the system that's supposed to protect you is just gone. There's no more honesty in the world anymore when it comes to these powerful, you know, demonically driven, possessed, degenerate lives. It's more than just a theory. It's not a conspiracy anymore. It's realist. It's a reality. It's a realist theory or a real conspiracy realist theory. I don't know how you want to say that, but if you stay focused, I'm trying to figure out how to get through this. It's just the whole thing is just to stay rooted in faith. It's your inner principles that matter, and regardless if they take your flesh. It's that you have a spirit, you have a soul, and you have the opportunity to be in front of the Lord for the Lord to judge you based on what has been happening in your life. Systems can try to slowly erode that personal integrity and everything around you, but you do have a Lord in heaven that cares a whole awful lot about you. So build that build that economy, build that dream, build that heartworks, build that light working, build whatever you are trying to build out here to establish for changes in your life. Because these same skills of creation can actually transfer into many other people's situations. And with you doing that digital work, you never know what you can run into as far as help is concerned, and what you can run into as far as there being influencers or support that's out there that still has heart inside of the digital work that you're trying to create. And so don't allow these people to gatekeep your faith away from the Lord being mighty and the Lord being in control of these things for the short run or long run. You know, I'm now playing the very longest game of them all. I mean, it's not a game to me. My life isn't a game to me. They've gamed up my life, but what I'm suggesting to is just the fact that with these people targeting you, with these people that are trying to harvest your energy, is just the fact that if you think about where people's money is concerned and how people can actually collectively come together, it means a whole lot because even if it's like a dollar warrior mission or like some kind of collective that can actually gain their own networks where you know where mine is being siphoned off. I constantly am being hacked. My Facebook 1, 2, 3 gone, and you know these people can trying to utilize all of that energy and have proxy warfare in a trusting type of manner. They're not only gaining everything from you underneath your life to work over your life, but they're like ripping the carpet underneath you to establish that love bombing availability of control through this narcissistic operation. And so, as long as you're out here demanding accountability in that kind of fashion, I believe wholeheartedly that there's there is enough out here for us. It's a matter of getting through to these people that want to work in that way, to suggest to themselves just one day can come along and that one day can literally save your life, when these people can have enough resources, time, energy, finances, everything, through their influential power and their outreach to be able to suggest that measures can be taken to stop these energy harvesters from doing any more damage. And it's a flick of a switch for them. You know what I mean? It can be a flick of a switch for them. And with that energy that they can bring inside of your life to actually make a difference inside of your life, where you're trying to make an impactful change in not only your own life, but even the lives of these people that have had their their plans on the opposite end of the spectrum, where you're literally just trying to get and establish for a representation so that you can get out of the heaviest crime per se that's happening. It's just what's happening to me is like legitimately like I need your help. I need your honorable help. And without that, then I have the Lord and I have, faith in the Lord. And it's just the fact that the hope there is that there's people that can offer you a supportive change, even within it being, just a little bit of help with food costs, or just the cost of the price of coffee. When you do that and when you give, it can help for other people to give, and it can help brighten my own life in that story and other people's lives in their own stories, to be able to bring it out here, to bring up real changes, to constantly go on the up and up. But if you're like not trying to be on the up and up, and you're trying to, just throw yourself into the guerrilla warfare where you're just gonna, fight these people or whatever, that's it's not the answer, is all I'm trying to suggest to. The answer is legitimately getting out of the psychological torment and getting the tormentors to agree with you that their psyche has been completely mismanaged by the psychological damages from being kids, from being hurt themselves, because it's oftentimes the most hurt people are the ones that hurt other people. It's not an excuse, but it's just how things happen. It's just how abuse manifests into people's lives. So you got to ask yourself some direct questions as to how you're able to make and establish a way to not only be away from these targeters, but to actually have accepted answers as far as how you can actually hold your faith intact to be able to move in a strategy of your own. If you do that, I wholeheartedly believe that even within what's going on in the world and what's happening in our world, that you can reach other people that might have, you know, enough of an impact in your life to really establish some great changes. If you can make those changes, then you can take that energy and transform it back into something powerful that can be giving to other people who are going through these warfare tactics and strategies that these people have been placing inside of their own lives. And then it takes not only you on the up and up, but it can also enhance your ability to actually grow a real amazing mission. Like my website, for an example, would just be completely a ballistic missile into the formation of this warfare that's against targets. and against people to actually get out of poverty. And so the people that are creating these systems don't want that, because these systems are protecting these, you know, rapists and traffickers and just horrible things. They have jobs, but if you can't see clear through the fact that these people working in very powerful structures can't as well be criminals, or can't as well be working in favor of the trafficking and getting away with this demonic enterprise, for an example, if you can't think that there's a way to get out of that, then there literally is no way. And if that's the case, then all life as we know it, any kind of livelihood that we could be living out here has been completely diminished, and it's gone. But have the hope and have the faith that we can make a difference here, refusing to become numbed by it, to still be able to rebuild community in a fashion of protecting our children, protecting our adults, and protecting our elders, because it's an act of defiance against the exploitation that they're trying to initialize and create to be able to continuously get away with these war crimes against humanity. So I just wanted to say that because, and I wanted to make it clear, because if you can reach the people that have power and you can transform their structure of thought process to actually want to take out real changes out here and actually turn around, then you've made a difference. So if you're like, say you're on the middle of the staircase and you're, and they're bad people, they're going downstairs, they're going down into the hellfire, right? They're walking down, and they don't care about anybody but themselves. They're completely, you know, just really, horrible people, doing horrible things to life. Okay, if you can get that person to stop and think about their actions, repent of their sins, and the Lord can offer them repentance, or the Lord can offer them provision. If they can just turn around and look up the staircase and start climbing up that staircase, helping people create communities, helping people with food costs, helping people here, here and there, just everywhere. Okay, because they have an awful lot of money, an awful lot of money, and so if you can get these people to turn around, which I don't know if it's possible anymore. I don't know if people are just black and white and that's just the spiritual time that we're living in, and like it's the end of the world. But I don't know those answers. I don't offer any aid of suggesting that I do know those answers. I feel like my life is over without me getting some actual resourceful help in the ways of the world caring. But if there's no forthrightness and there's nobody forthcoming, and the only thing that they care about is money and more and war and having power, well, then they're not doing anything good for themselves, especially because we're all supposed to be mirrors of each other inside of the light of Christ, inside of the light of love. And if we can't even formally detest what the activities are out here, and they just want to instigate for more hidden covert war, to guerrilla warfare, to proxy warfare, to psychological warfare, to spiritual warfare, then yeah, I would agree with the people that are suggesting that life as we know it is over. And not just for ourselves, but them too. They can go ahead and think that their hearts are going to be fine when there's not one single person praying over their hearts, as far as the Christians praying for their enemies. But if they don't want to see things that way, and it being the truth, they can go ahead and try to run from the truth all they want to. The truth can stand alone. Truth has, the Lord can stand alone. As far as all this stuff is concerned with what's been happening to people's lives, But if we can turn this around, that's how. And so keep your prayers intact. People are dealing with an awful lot of warfare out here, not just to myself, but to many others in the world. And if we can turn this around and actually create a real mission where, like, these charitable operations aren't just foundations of a bunch of cuckolding spiritual warfare artists that are putting all of their money into offshore bank accounts, and then once they're threatened, they're like, they have enough money to escape America and continue working in warfare and, just degeneracy. Then, I mean, yeah, life is pretty messed up, and it's going to be a powerful switch if there is a beautiful life to be lived on the opposite side of this. But the only way that I can see that being made possible is if these charities are actually real and not just foundations that are being controlled by the Freemasonry or occultists or the satanic shit camp that's out here. And they obviously, if they want hate in their hearts, and they obviously hate what we're doing out here as far as this stuff is concerned, it's not going to get a lot of views. It's not going to get a lot. It's not going to go very far. But where it can go, if it does reach a person that has ability with influence and with influential power in their life, they can literally transform one person's life that can then affect hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people's lives for a very positive change. And so I've been just always wanting to create this mission of mine. And there'll be people that suggest, like, oh, if you've been working on something for 16 years and it still hasn't, maybe you should change your direction and la di da. Well, even if you do change your direction, you're a targeted individual. So it doesn't matter if you're working at McDonald's or if you're working in agriculture or if you're working at a plantation or working a side job, like a side hustle. It doesn't matter what you do. These people that are working in coercive controls are literally creating the coercive violence through the systems in order to completely establish total control so that they can continue to get away with the sex trafficking and trafficking of minors. And if they don't want to turn around from that, then yeah, life is just absurd, and the the worst of the worst of the parts of Revelations in the book of the Gospels is actually taking place. And like I'm fearful of it because my personal life has been me trying to figure this stuff out ever since I can remember. And it literally didn't allow me to have any bit of my life. I was spiritually murdered at a very young age by my dad doing what he did. And I was spiritually murdered by a lot of other people. And so it hurts to feel that. It's a lot of pain to suggest that, oh, I just came out of long-standing poisoning, and now I'm like literally being physically assaulted for physical murder, not just spiritual murder, and I don't have any life. And I've been fighting just to have a life outside of this abuse. So I hope that there's something out here that's still real, but I'm growing very numb myself to having hope. And it really sucks. So I'm going to leave this message as that because I'm not trying to cry on YouTube anymore. I've cried enough on open source media that nobody really, with any influence anyway, has any suggestibility that it's anything more than delusional persecution or whatever the fuck they want to cuckold in my life more than it's already been fucking cuckolded. But I'm tired of proxy warfare. I'm tired of spiritual warfare. I'm tired of the wars overseas. And I wanted to create a mission that would be a worldwide movement, better than your George Soros created Black Lives Matter. Like, George Soros doesn't even care about black lives. It's just it's a show. It's a show. So if we can't get away from these shows, then yeah, life as we know it is hopefully not over, but if it's right around the corner and it's ballistic missiles and whatever these shit camp artists want to do, then I guess I don't know. I feel bad that the Lord created the world to be so beautiful and that we can't even share it at any age of our lives. To just have our lives then taken away, completely harvested by very demonic sources of these otherworldly, you know, shit camp people. So I hope that I can gain your support. I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel. And even though I do create a lot of content, I hope that you'll take the time to listen to more of it, and especially like my hodgepodge sessions. You know, even my radio that I was thinking of making a long time ago, the Limelight Radio, or Love Limelight Radio, and these hodgepodge sessions and my music sessions, because I do have a lot of value in them, regardless of it being on a very intermediate microphone. I would like to still be able to grow up the mission to be able to have like a music microphone and work with a bunch of musicians and work with a bunch of PR and public relations, and have an actual mighty go at actually establishing a life outside of this abuse. But I'm struggling with it because I've been struggling with my physical heart for 3 years, and it's being ignored by the medical systems. And like every time I go in, it's like they're making it a mental health thing instead of like actually doing anything to help me physically. And yeah, I believe in holistics, not ballistic missiles, and not the systems that are being like completely bollocks in their mission to want to control people's lives. So anyway, I'm out of here, and I hope that you guys take care of yourselves. I know I'm trying to. Love you guys. Peace.